Namaste, nerds. This is Navnad, the Budget Pub Stomper, and today we're going to be talking about Vin Wix, verbose host, the host with the most. This little guy caught my attention the moment I saw it. The very first time I saw this card and I read it, I thought, I don't know what the hell this max speed ability is all about, but this card is freaking busted. And then I found out what the max speed ability was all about, and I started being a little bit skeptical as to whether this is a thing that could actually be used for competitive play or not. I thought, I really was kind of 50-50 on it, back and forth on it. It's something that I've been thinking about since the day I saw it. I've talked to all the guys in the Discord about it. In fact, I think mostly they've tried to talk me off of this idea. I think I'm the only one that was super excited about it. But now that being said, they did all help me when it came right down to it, and I said, no, I'm doing this. I want to make this thing happen. Even though they were kind of like, yeah, I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know if this is going to be as good as you think it's going to be. They all kicked in and tried to help me make it as good a thing that I shouldn't do as possible. But I'm here to tell you, this was a success. So let's talk about the commander. Vnwxt, verbose host, is a 2-mana 0/4 legendary homunculus with the ability Start Your Engines. Start Your Engines is a weird thing. It just says that if you don't have any speed, then you get a speed of 1. So you don't actually have speed 0. When you play your commander and it has Start Your Engine, your speed immediately goes to 1. And then on each of your turns, and it's got to be one of your turns, if your opponent loses life, your speed goes up by 1. And then eventually you're going to hit max speed of 4, which should happen on turn 4 if you play your cards right, and if you built your deck well. At that point, you're at max speed, and you get this ability at the bottom here that says if you would draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. Now that is cracked. That is insane. That is absurd. There's cards that cost like 7 mana that do that. Oh, and also there's this text in the middle there that says you have no maximum hand size, which also is very important. Probably pretty obviously the hard part is going to be getting to that 4 speed. And the way to do it is you have to make sure you're dealing damage every single turn on every single one of your turns, starting on turn 2. So we've got to get a dude out on turn 1. We've got to cast this guy on turn 2. We've got to bing somebody with the guy, and we've got to do it again the next turn. And then on turn 4, we can turn this thing on. And once this thing is turned on, it is fucking insane. Okay, and you're going to see that in the Goldfishing. There's no way I'm going to do this video without Goldfishing hands because this thing plays... It's just insane. It really is. It is insane. Now normally I talk about the combo. Let's just talk about the combo lines first. I'm going to say that's the hard part. All of the cards and the synergies and the way the deck works and how it plays throughout a game, I think is just, it's cracked in half. It's busted. It's fantastic. It's amazing. You're going to love it. The problem or the challenge is going to be in winning the game. And I've tried a lot of stuff today. I've iterated on this a bunch. And so what I ended up with is just a few win lines. So we have some tutors. We're going to be drawing just a tremendous number of cards and just really moving through our deck. We're going to find our combos. But kind of unfortunately, I had to go with what you probably would call 3-card combos. They're 2-card combos with an outlet. So maybe it's a bit much to call them 3-card combos, but we have to have 3 pieces in play to win with any of our combos. The win lines are going to be basically make infinite mana and then win the game with infinite mana. And how we're going to make infinite mana, we've got a few different ways. And there's also that's one. There's another win line that we'll get to in a moment, but there's 3 infinite mana lines. One would be Forensic Gadgeteer with Basalt Monolith. So Basalt Monolith is just a 3-mana artifact you can tap for 3 mana. You can pay 3 mana to untap it, and it doesn't untap normally. So you tap it for 3 mana, and you untap it for 3 mana. You can do that over and over, but you're just breaking even. So what you need is something that will reduce the cost of untapping it. That's where Forensic Gadgeteer comes into play. He says whenever you cast an artifact spell, investigate, so that just creates a clue token for you. And it says activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. Now this guy's really good in this deck. Not only is he a combo piece, but he's also a bit of a value engine. If you just have your Urza out with the Forensic Gadgeteer, that's pretty busted. Because you can, every time you cast an artifact, you make a clue token, and you can use Urza that lets you tap your artifacts, including the clue, to make a blue mana. Then you can use that blue mana that you got from the clue token to crack itself and draw a card. But if you have your commander in play, that'll be drawing 2 cards instead. So let's say you've got your commander out, you have your Forensic Gadgeteer in play, and Urza. You're not ready to win the game quite yet, but you cast a Ginger Brute, which is an artifact. When it ETBs, it triggers the Forensic Gadgeteer, and you make a clue. Now, you can tap that clue to make a blue mana, because that's what Urza does, and you can use the blue mana to crack the clue token, because that's what a clue token does, to draw 1 card. But instead of drawing 1 card, you'll draw 2 cards, because that's what Vnwxt does. Okay, that's just like one example, but the actual win line is going to be this. We get our Forensic Gadgeteer and the Basalt Monolith. And the Forensic Gadgeteer allows us to untap the Basalt Monolith for 2 mana instead of 3 mana. So we can tap it to add 3, untap it for 2. Tap it to add 3, untap it for 2. And you'll make infinite mana that way. So just with Forensic Gadgeteer plus the Basalt Monolith, you will make infinite mana. So then why do I call it a 3-card combo? Well, because you need some other piece to actually win the game. Whether that's Urza, that's probably the easiest thing to do. You can use, so Urza allows all of your artifacts to tap for mana. It has an ability that when it ETBs, it creates a Construct, colloquially known as Construct. It's an artifact creature that has power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control. Losing my voice. Urza says when it ETBs, you get your Construct, and then you can tap an untapped artifact you control to add 1 blue mana. But there's this bottom ability, 5 mana, shuffle your library, exile the top card until end of turn. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. So that means that if you have infinite mana, you can essentially cast your entire deck in any order that you want to cast your entire deck in. So if you have infinite mana and you have Urza, you have won the game. So Forensic Gadgeteer plus the Basalt Monolith is infinite mana. You can use Urza to sink that infinite mana into a win, or you can use any of your Draw X spells. Your Blue Sun Zenith, for instance, you just need 3 blue mana and X, so if X is infinite, you can draw your entire deck and win the game that way. Blue Sun Zenith also will shuffle itself back into your library. So that's kind of one win line. That's one combo. Finale of Revelation sort of does the same thing-ish as the... it's another Draw X. So another win line is going to be Grand Architect plus Pilipala plus Urza. So here's your 3-card combo again. So you've got your 2-card combo that goes infinite, and then a way to pay off the infinite mana. So Grand Architect says other blue creatures you control get +1/+1, which is not irrelevant. We're playing a bunch of like evasive little dongers, little guys that are going to get in for damage, and we're playing extra combats, and so beefing them up, I don't think it's unrealistic that you might just murder somebody that way. Other blue creatures get +1/+1. You can pay 1 blue mana. Target artifact becomes blue until end of turn. You'll do that to Pilipala. Then it says tap an untapped blue creature you control to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate artifact abilities. So if we've got Grand Architect and we've got Pilipala, we are going to tap the Pilipala. First we'll have to make it blue. So we'll tap a blue mana, and then target artifact creature becomes blue. That's going to be the Pilipala. So now, once Pilipala is a blue creature, you can use Grand Architect's ability to tap the blue creature to make 2 colorless mana. Now you can only use that mana to activate artifact abilities or cast artifact spells. But in this case, we're going to use it to untap the Pilipala. So we're going to untap the Pilipala, and then we're going to tap it for a mana of any color. And then we're going to use this ability to tap it and untap it, tap it and untap it, and essentially make infinite mana that we can push through Urza to do the same thing and win. Then we've got another iteration of the infinite mana combo. So this is going to be Isochron Scepter with Dramatic Reversal. You've probably heard of this one. Very common. Isorev really was not my first thought in this deck, and in fact it's really only in the deck because I wanted the Isochron Scepter for another reason. But we've got an Urza, we've got draw X spells, and so if we've got some mana rocks in play, we can, even if we just have Basalt Monolith or like a Soul Ring and a Arcane Signet, then we can put our Dramatic Reversal on top of our or put our Isochron Scepter down, imprinting Dramatic Reversal, which will allow you to tap the Isochron Scepter in 2 mana to untap all of your permanents, including the Isochron Scepter and all of your mana rocks, and you're going to go infinite mana. Then you're going to put that infinite mana through Urza, or you're going to put that infinite mana into a draw X, like you can cast, what are all my draw X? Finale of Revelation. So you can go draw, if you have 80 cards in your library, draw 79 cards. And it says if X is 10 or more, instead shuffle your graveyard into your library, draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size. So that part doesn't matter very much, but you do get to untap lands, which I guess if you need to pay colored pips could matter. But this is just a way that if you hit infinite mana, you can draw your deck. Same thing with Blue Sun Zenith. With Blue Sun Zenith, though, you're able to eventually, so you're going to draw yourself out, and then you're going to start drawing your opponents out. So you blast this at somebody for X equals 1 billion, and then it shuffles into your library. Then you just need a way to draw it, but you've just, drawn your whole deck. So you've got cantrips like Consider, you cast your Consider, you draw your Blue Sun Zenith, and then you X equals 1 billion the next guy and draw him out, and so on and so forth. The win lines are not the important part of the deck. I don't think that, well, I guess we have to know how we're going to do it. And then the other main strategy we're going to use for ending the game is we're going to use our Isochron Scepter, and we're going to put Narset's Reversal. We're going to imprint Narset's Reversal, which is an instant that says copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. So you have Narset's Reversal, and you have Isochron Scepter. Now any of your extra turn spells go infinite. So you have Temporal Manipulation. You cast your Temporal Manipulation, and then you use your Isochron Scepter to make a copy of your Narset's Reversal, which will put your Time Warp back into your hand. So you already put a copy of it on the stack, so you are going to be taking an extra turn, but now you've got the Time Warp back in hand, and so that on your next turn you can do it again. And again, and again, and again, and you're going to beat people to death with your little dorks. Now the dorks are really the name of the game. That's what this deck is all about. How are we doing on time? I want to get to the goldfishing. Like, we are going to be goldfishing. Oh, we're doing fine. We're doing fantastic. All right, so what do we know about the deck? We know that somehow we're going to assemble some sort of an infinite mana line, and we're going to use our infinite mana. We're going to pay off our infinite mana either through Urza, or we're going to draw our deck with one of our draw X spells, and then a lot of times the actual death blow is going to be just drawing all of our opponents out. We're going to force all of our opponents to draw their decks out, and then then you pass the turn to them, and then they will have to draw from an empty library, and they'll lose the game. Or we're going to loop extra turns using the Dramatic Reversal, the Isochron Scepter with Narset's Reversal. But mostly what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting little dudes in play on turn 1. We're going to be dropping our commander on turn 2. We're going to go to combat on turn 2. We're going to make our Vin Wix's speed 2. We're going to hopefully be able to hold up interaction. We had a lot of money to play with here because we just jammed a bunch of basic islands in this thing. So we were able to play a bunch of, and I thought it was actually pretty important to prioritize interaction because we need to survive till the mid-game. We need to actually get our speed up to 4. And also because we're going to be drawing so many cards, I thought it was important that we had enough like free interaction, slim and free interaction. The bottleneck is going to be mana. You know, we're going to be drawing cards like you just can't believe. But how do we pay for them? Well, one thing is we're going to be playing a bunch of spells that you don't need to pay for. Commandeer, for instance, it's going to be a lot of times no sweat to discard 2 cards, and then you not only counter your opponent's spell, you actually take control of your opponent's spell. Or misdirection, they try to kill your thing and you say, no, how about instead we kill your thing? So misdirection is another free spell. We've got, there it is, you may exile a blue card, which a lot of times is just going to be a very easy cost for us to pay. Flare of Denial, we've got all these little 1 power, 1 mana, blue non-token creatures. So Flare of Denial, even though it's up to $5.52, I thought was absolutely like a very good, if not like necessary piece in this deck. I did even have Mental Misstep in the deck, but I mean, it's down to like $5 right now. But I did end up having to cut that, although that would be a piece I'd be interested in getting back into the deck. Maybe in a future iteration it will be. So we go turn 1 dork. Like I say dork, I just mean little dorky guy, little evasive flyer like Hope of Girper, for instance. Turn 2, we cast our commander. We hit somebody, we go to speed 2. We hold mana up, we make it to our 3rd turn, we go to speed 3 by just hitting somebody with one of our little guys. On our turn 4, we're going to hit somebody, we're going to go to speed 4, and we're going to go completely off the rails. I mean, we're going to be just unhinged at that point. Anytime you're going to draw a card for turn, no, you draw 2 cards for turn. You crack a clue and you're supposed to draw a card for that, no, you draw 2 cards for that. You brainstorm, you should draw 3, no, you're going to draw 6. You attack with one of your looters, your Looter Il Core, which kind of does double duty in the deck because it has Shadow, which means it's essentially unblockable. So that helps us get our speed up, but also it says whenever Looter Il Core deals damage to an opponent, draw a card, then discard a card, except with our commander out, we will draw 2 cards and then discard a card. Malcolm, aside from we already know that I have a pirate fetish, this guy has flash and flying, which really works well with our overall, well, everything about our deck wants those 2 things to be true. We can hold up mana, and at the last minute we can flash this guy in. It's an evasive threat. It says whenever Malcolm Alluring Scoundrel deals combat damage to a player, put a chorus counter on it. Draw a card, then discard a card. No, with our commander, that is draw 2 cards, then discard a card. And if you have 4 or more chorus counters on Malcolm, you may cast the discarded card without paying its mana cost. So taking extra turn spells with this deck, that becomes there's like 2 ways in which that synergizes. Not only do we get an extra chorus counter, but then if we actually discard one of our extra turn spells, we can cast it for free. So with our, I don't know, we've got a few. I think we ended up on 3 or 4. Walk the Aeons, supposed to be 6 mana, but we discard it with Malcolm, and once our Malcolm's online, up rocking and rolling, we can cast the Walk the Aeons for free. And then we do it again and again and again. So, and I mean, that's not a deterministic do it again and again and again, but I think it's going to be a, not deterministic, but sort of a foregone conclusion that once you get this deck up and running, it's just going to take over and it's going to spiral out of control and fast. What are some other things we want to talk about? So those were the kinds of creatures that I decided to go with, is the little dorks that are just going to ping through with evasive damage and that you're going to be sure to be able to beat people up with if you get to the point where you're looping extra turns with your Narset's Reversal and Isochron Scepter combo. And also, if you're just in a situation where you're able to kind of draw a bunch of cards with your little evasive dorks, and then draw into an extra turn spell, then you'll be able to cast it again and again. So Edric should come to mind here. I guess I haven't talked about how we're going to turn our little guys into Edric. So this guy doesn't intrinsically give our dudes the ability to draw a card every time they hit somebody, but if we play guys like Grazilax, and there's several of these effects in the deck, Grazilax and, I don't know, 3 or 4 other cards in the deck say whenever a creature you control, whenever one or more creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So with our commander out, that's going to be draw 2 cards. And so since we've got all these evasive dudes, if you've got a bunch of evasive dudes out with this commander in play and active, and you've got a Grazilax in play, just swinging with 3 guys, you're going to draw 6 cards. And if one of those cards is an extra turn spell, then you're going to cast the extra turn spell, and you're going to do it again. So we're going to Temporal Manipulation, and then we're going to Temporal Mastery. And then we're going to cast a Treasure Cruise, and we're going to find our next big spell, and we're going to cast it free with our Malcolm, so on and so forth. Just some more, I don't know, like more natural, sort of dependable parts of the deck that we really haven't talked about yet. Just imagine you've got your Vin Wix in play, turned on. You've got all your little evasive dorks. You hit somebody with one of them, and you cast Chart a Course. Normally, Chart a Course says draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you attack this turn. Well, you're going to attack basically every turn. And instead of drawing 2 cards, you're going to draw 4 cards. So in this deck, we effectively turn Chart a Course into 2 mana, draw 4. And then you don't even have to discard the cards. Like, you're going to definitely be going way over 7 cards really fast. And when you do, you don't have to discard them on your end step, because that's just what this guy says on it. You have no maximum hand size. So I think we've got, tutors. We've got a really, really good suite of interaction. Again, for 2 reasons. One, we need to be holding up interaction in the early game. We need to be able to survive long enough to get going. But then 2, when we're drawing a butt ton of cards, the bottleneck is mana. And so I wanted to put all of the 0 and 1 mana interaction that I could fit. Here's one. So check this out. You've got your commander out and established. You've got your speed at 4. At instant speed for 3 mana, Thirst for Discovery says draw 6 cards and discard a basic land. Well, almost our entire mana base is basic land, so that drawback really isn't a drawback. Reconnaissance Mission I thought was kind of clever here. It has cycling, so for 2 mana, if you already have one of your draw effects like Grazilax in play, then you can cycle this away. But with your commander out, you can pay 2, cycle it, and instead of discarding it and drawing a card, you'll discard it and draw 2 cards. And this is another one of those effects that says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. So that's kind of nasty, right? Like here, if you have 6 creatures and they all have evasion, you're drawing 6 cards. When you get one of these stuck to the board and you've got a bunch of dudes out, it's going to be pretty hard to not win the game. Tolarian Winds, discard your hand. Let's say that hand is 5 cards. Discard your hand as long as your guy's online. You're discarding 5, you're drawing 10. Then we've got a tutor suite. So yeah, the deck is extra turns, tutors, cantrips that we break in half, evasive dudes, looters, and that's pretty much the deal. Let's do it. I don't want to just tell you about it. I want to show you about it. Alright, so this is definitely a keep. We definitely keep this. So this would have been, I think that, well, regardless, this is a 7-card hand, so we'll draw for turn. We will cast this. We will cast this. We will tap this. We will cast this. We will go to our second turn. And we'll get our commander out. We'll go to combat. We'll ping somebody with our evasive flying dude. and our speed will increase to 2. It starts off at 1, it goes to 2 immediately. Take our next turn. We go to combat, and our speed goes to 3. We played a land. Probably we just hold up interaction here. So we're going to hold up our counter spell. I mean, if we have to do something else, we do. But probably it's turn 3. You won't need more than 1 counter spell. Or kind of worst case scenario, 1 counter spell and a means to protect your dude. So let's say we have to delay something. On turn 3, somebody goes for the win. Okay, next turn. We go to combat. We increase to max speed, so now we're unstoppable. This is when we go crazy. Maybe we go 1, 2, 3, frantic search. Instead of drawing 2 cards and then discarding 2 cards, we're going to draw 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to discard 2 cards. 1, 2. And we're going to untap because of the frantic search. Then maybe we Tolarian Winds. We discard our hand and then draw that many cards. Or we pass. No, we don't want to pass yet because we do want to be holding up interaction. Unless we just want to tutor and start looking for the win. We could crack this now. So let's crack this. So on our next upkeep, we're going to draw 2 cards. But right now, let's Tolarian Winds. 1, 2. This is instant speed. So whatever. So let's do. I think we still do this before the draw trigger from the bauble resolves. Probably. So we discard that. That's or this 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is still on our turn, and then we draw 8 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who do we appreciate? Vnwxt. So we've got choices, options, things to do. Is this turn 4? Yeah, we can't play a land. And we don't have to discard, remember. We don't have to discard a hand size, but we do probably just want to put dudes out. Still no interaction. Oh yeah, we've got interaction. We've got free interaction. So we'll probably put this donger here in play. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card unless you got threshold. And he can't be blocked. So then we would pass the turn, holding up our flare. We draw off of our bauble. Normally would be 1, but we're going to draw 2. And now we've got misdirection. We've got all the free interaction. We've got 9 cards in hand. I mean, chances are we make it back to our next turn, right? I mean, even if we have to, I don't know, exile this to cast misdirection to stop somebody from putting a curiosity on their Niv Mizzet or whatever. Go to our next turn. Land for turn. Go to combat. Ding somebody with that. Hit somebody with this. This is going to allow us to draw a card and then discard a card. But we forgot to draw 2 cards during our draw step. So even just for draw, we draw 2. So when we attack with this, do we have threshold? We do definitely have threshold. So instead of drawing 1 card and then discarding a card, with our commander and threshold, we're going to draw 2 cards, 1, 2, and we're not going to discard a card. So we're starting to get to the point where we're assembling our combos, and we're starting to get to the point where I think it would be virtually impossible to lose. Like, we've turned the corner. You know what I mean? Like, unless somebody snuck something in, and we had some interaction, we could have stopped some things. We had flare. We cast a counter spell, delay. We had misdirection. So yeah, I think this is going to be a difficult spot to lose from. That's what it seems like to me. I'd like to get our little boat thing down, so maybe we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get our boat thing down. Hold up our flare. Hold up our commandeer. If somebody does something really scary, we can commandeer it. If they do something just kind of scary, we could flare it. Let's just say we get a free go. Do I want to be... I was going to say we could use our commandeer and just pitch a couple of things to it. But then we wouldn't know what we're trying to keep. I don't know, somebody casts a whatever and we commandeer... Well, yeah, let's just say we get one free one free round where we don't have to stop anything. It's not like that's implausible. Now we've got our boat out. We're going to swing for 1, 2, and that's going to be 2 draw triggers, which are going to be 2 cards each. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this guy is going to trigger. He has threshold, so we draw 1 and then don't discard. Is that right? Whenever, yeah. But we're going to draw 2 because of our commander. 1, 2. And we didn't draw 2 cards for draw for turn again. So this is how things would be looking. Then we'd put another guy out. We'd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we've got free interaction. We've got dudes. We've got, maybe we want to consider. Maybe we just cast our temporal manipulation. I mean, like, how do we lose here, right? Maybe this time we just pass the turn. We say, okay, I'm gonna play a guy. Let's play a guy. Hope of Girapur, so we can get ready to start looking for the win. And somebody tries to do something, and we unwind it. That untaps our stuff, so we can still hold mana up. We don't have anything else that we need to take care of. Then we cast a Consider at end step. We scry that to the bottom. And we draw not 1 but 2 cards. And we go to our next turn. And this time I'm going to remember to draw the extra card. So, like, does this look crazy? Does this look kind of nuts? I think this this seems crazy to me. Did we have this guy in our hand? Yeah, we must have. So we probably should have dropped that in step. And so now we go to combat and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're starting to murder people. We're drawing cards off of this. 2 cards for each creature hitting an opponent. That's nuts, right? 2. Let's say we only have 3. We can only get through 3 things for whatever reason. We still draw 6 cards off of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we still get the threshold. So we get 1, 2. And maybe we bounce somebody's thing. But we pay the kicker and we draw 2 cards. Let's look at another hand. I mean, this... Or let's hear the big finish. I think at this point probably your opponents just scoop. We go play out another guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sure we missed a land drop, which we should not have. I mean, we probably just forgot to play a land. But we play out another guy. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and cast temporal manipulation, and we take another turn. Oh, we'll just go take another turn. Draw 2. And I think at this point probably our opponents just scoop it up, right? Or you show them a flare, show them a commandeer, show them any interaction. That's the deck. That's what it does. Isn't? I think it's nuts. I think it's insane. I think it's kind of crazy. Let's do another. Only 1 land. Should we risk it? No. That's probably fine. We really would like a draw effect, but we'll take this. We go turn 1, this, turn 2, play our commander, get our speed up, go to turn 3. So I'm trying to rush through this a little bit, I guess. Speed up. We've got a little bit of interaction to hold up, so we'll play this guy. We're holding up counterspell and we're holding up a bounce spell. So let's say we give ourselves a free turn. We don't have to do anything on turn 3, which I think is reasonable. Then we're able to pound in, get our speed going, and now we can start doing crazy things. We probably pass the turn and we hold up our counterspell and our blink. And let's say that we do have to use something. Maybe we have to use blink of an eye. So and we'll pay the kicker. So we bounce somebody's thing and we draw a card. Nay, we draw 2 cards. Cool. Next turn, we draw an extra card. And we go land for turn, Soul Ring. So we've got options here, right? What I'd really like to be able to do is find one of our, let's do this. Let's go. So what I was thinking is we could flash this guy in on instep, and then we could activate his ability, but instead of drawing a card, we'd draw 2. But I think I'd rather 1, 2, 3, 4. Transmute, that's 3. Oops. For Grazlax. Okay, and we probably wouldn't want to get too greedy. We wouldn't want to cast this just yet. I think we would hold up our counter spell. And let's just say, I don't know, we obviously pound in for some damage. We're holding up counter spell. We're holding up our Siren Storm Tamer activation if we need to use that, instead of getting greedy and dropping Grazlax just yet. And let's just say in turn, well, let's say we do have to blow a counter spell. It's impossible to know, right? Then in step, we flash this guy in. We go to our next turn. We're going to remember to draw our extra turn. That sucks. That's a bad top deck after we blew that tutor on a version of this. Land for turn. 1, 2, 3. We could do big mana things, right? Like we could draw a fuck ton of cards right now. If we wanted to use our High Tide, we'd have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So we could do, god damn, that's a lot. So we could draw 18 cards off of this with High Tide. Man, it's too bad High Tide is not an instant. Oh, holy shit, it is an instant. That's hilarious. Okay, so I think then probably we would do that. We wouldn't play our Grazlax. We would wait until end step. Now, if something bad happened, we'd have to hold up, at least just have enough mana to cast a counter spell. But let's just go end step. Let's say we do have to find a counter spell. So we're going to save 2 mana. But we're going to end step right, whoever's trying to win the game. In response, we cast High Tide. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to cast a Drown in Dreams. Nope, let's do the Zenith. X equals, fuck, I forgot what I said. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it was X equals 10. Is that right? You have to double check me. It was 9, maybe 9. Whatever. We're going to draw 18 or 20 cards. We'll split the difference. We'll draw 19. It was either 18 or 20. This is going to get shuffled in. And we'll draw whatever I just said, 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then somebody was trying to win the game, so did we not find a counterspell? That would be terrible. There it is. Okay. I mean, we had options, even if not, right? Like, we could have, depending on what it was, we might have been able to, we didn't have a lot of options. Brainstorm, we could have brainstormed and hoped to hit something. Maybe we could have used the Siren Storm Tamer if they were trying to kill us specifically with something. Kind of all depends. We could have charted a course and try to find something. But we'll just go 1, 2 to use our Arcane Denial. We save the day. Everybody's happy with us. Then we go to our turn, which our Arcane Denial will allow our opponent to draw 2, but we're also going to draw 2 instead of 1. And then we're going to draw 2 for our draw for turn. So we're going to go to our turn. We're going to draw the 2 for the Arcane Denial and the 1 extra for draw. And yeah, this is fucking crazy, right? This is fucking crazy. So that's the deck, guys. I hope I convinced you. Especially my guys that are in the Discord doubting, let's just take a look at one more thing. We go 1, 2, 3 for an Archmage's Charm, and we're gonna draw 2 cards. Except instead of 2, it's gonna be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're basically invincible now. Then let's go. Brainstorm. I mean, it's absurd, right? This is ridiculous. That's funny. Here we go. Tellurian wins. 1. No, this is an instant, so we could do this at instant speed. We're holding up all kinds of stuff. In step. Well, it's not even in step. Let's go 1, 2, 3 to cast a Frantic Surge. 1, 2, 3. We're going to draw 4 and discard 2. And discard 2. Go land. Yeah. I mean, you guys get the idea. First, I want to say, from the bottom of my dark, black, ugly heart, thank you all very much in the Discord for helping me with the win lines. I mean, this deck is cool. It's fun to watch. I'm sure it's fun. I mean, it's fun to play. I think it's probably fun to watch. But none of this is going to mean anything if we can't get to our W's. And the guys in the Discord helped me with putting the win lines together. Until next time, over and out. Oh, and check us out on Discord. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the description and the deck list in the description. East side until the day that I die. Namaste, my nerd homies.